You are listening to the Sound in Faith podcast, coming to you from Faith Baptist Fellowship in beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota. My name is Pastor Thomas Lawson.
And I'm Pastor Mike Johnson.
And our aim is to encourage the saints of Faith Baptist to believe sound doctrine and to live lives that adorn the gospel of Jesus Christ. Welcome.
Best closing ever.
It is. Welcome back, Pastor Mike.
Thanks.
A lot's been going on. Both in your life and my life, that has kept us from recording a podcast the past couple weeks, but we're glad to be back. A little
bit of travel, some planned, some unplanned for you, some unplanned travel.
But we're back with an episode today, and boy, we are hitting these hard topics these last couple podcasts. Idolatry, hell, and today...
I wanted to tell you about somebody who likes to hit hard topics.
Okay.
I just thought it'd be fun to talk about him behind his back.
Okay. Oh, well, who is that? Who is that? Tell me.
Should I say his name? Today, we're talking about gossip.
And slander.
Yes.
Ooh.
And I think it'd be very helpful. I mean, we thought of this several weeks ago, wanted to do it. But I thought it would be just a really helpful topic for our people to, as we, not that there's anything going on.
Right, exactly,
I actually don't think there is. And I think that's sometimes the best time to talk about it.
And it's one of these things where we always want to be on guard against this. The Bible has so much to say about the sins of the tongue and the words that we use and the ways that we talk to other people. And so we want to think about that and be on guard against that because we're not immune to it.
Yeah, we're not. And, as a longtime pastor, I have seen this sin do more damage than most other sins in the life of the church.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good to talk about it.
So for those that will see the video of this today, I will just full disclosure here. A lot of the times I'll use AI to create a graphic for the episodes. And so you'll notice today...
Somebody was telling me that about you.
Yeah. You'll notice today it is an image of a guy with just like fire coming out of his mouth burning up a city.
Ooh.
And
it sounds biblical.
It kind of has this kind of brutalist, almost like Soviet propaganda-looking type way to it. Oh. But when I was trying to describe it to ChatGPT, I was using those it's like, I want something that's going to emphasize the damage that gossip and slander can do.
Oh, man.
And so, it's a pretty stark image. I encourage you, if you're just a listener, go find the YouTube video, see that graphic right there. You'll see it on social media and things like that. But, the tongue can set ablaze. It can cause so much destruction. You remember that old kid saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me."
Yeah.
That's a lie.
It is a lie.
It is not true. Words can do tremendous damage.
Huge.
And that's why we want to talk about this today.
I'm guessing you got that from James 3.
Yes, and we're going to get to that in the episode as we talk about biblical verses in the Bible that deal with gossip and slander and how we talk about other people. So it's not something that we're identifying that's happening right now. It's not prompted by anything. But it's not just like this old sin that used to exist out in the country in little churches. We live in an age where so much of this can happen now by texting and social media and conversations that happen behind people's backs. So we as Christians want to guard against this in our lives.
It's a sin that is common to man, and it's as natural as any other sin for us to just spew out things that we shouldn't.
So I want to begin. I want us to share some definitions. Gossip and slander often can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some distinctions between them, and one can oftentimes lead to another.
Yeah.
And so I got these two definitions online from reputable sources, from places and brothers and sisters out there that have written on this. And the first one is the definition of gossip, and this one comes from a pastor by the name of Matt Mitchell. I don't know him, but he writes for Desiring God. Yep. And he said the sin of gossip is bearing bad news behind someone's back out of a bad heart.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. How would you maybe describe it?
I describe gossip as anytime we purposely put another person in a bad light.
Yeah.
On purpose. for some selfish motive, with the hopes that somebody else might see them worse. So that's what I say as gossip. So anytime, and we can do that with true things. Yeah, and that is the distinction between slander. Slander's patently
lies.
False. Yeah. We can do that with true things. We can do that with reframed true things, which is also, the line between slander and gossip is pretty fuzzy, because we have a way of saying true things, but not putting those things in the best light that we possibly could.
Yeah. There's not a strong distinction between these two. They oftentimes go hand in hand. Another aspect of gossip I often think of is that it's breaking confidence. It can be breaking confidence. Someone tells you something that they are dealing with, and they're like, please, I'm coming to you with this. I want your prayers. And then we turn around and it's like, did you hear what so-and-so did?
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
We like to be the bearer of juicy things.
Yeah. And so it's important. And like we said, slander, here was a definition I found that I thought was helpful. Trevin Wax from the Gospel Coalition, slander is spreading untruth about someone else so that their reputation is damaged.
Yeah. That's spot on. Untruth. It's not true.
Yeah.
The written version of that's called libel. That's, and also very, very common.
Yeah. And again, oftentimes these go hand in hand. Another definition here, kind of drawing the distinction here, I believe his name is pronounced Derek Ntabi, and also writes for the Gospel Coalition. Both are sinful and often go hand in hand. With gossip, the information shared is usually true, albeit sensitive. And I like what you said. It can be true, but we're framing it in a false context. Yeah. We're putting it in a way that is intentionally trying to sound bad.
Right.
And then, whereas slander is patently false information that we're sharing about somebody.
Right on.
Yeah. So both are these temptations for Christians? Are we above this? Are these sins we can fall into?
I find myself having to push back from thoughts of wanting to do this, like temptation. I'm tempted often, to want to drop a note or a thought about somebody. And part of it is because this sinful heart likes to be made much of. And one of the ways that we go about trying to make much of ourselves is by making less of others. And so if I can put somebody, and I think this goes right to the heart of it, anyone who gossips is typically saying that this person is here and I'm here, holding my hand higher for me. And, it's trying to put somebody else in a poor light so that you might see me in a slightly better light or a much better light.
Yeah.
And it could be just like, I like to feel this way about myself, like I'm better than them, and gossip is a way to give vent to that.
Now, at the end of the episode, before we finish out our episode today, we are going to talk about, because maybe there are people who are asking the question, what can you do when you actually have a genuine concern for someone and you feel like that concern does need to be brought to light to, say, church leaders or people who would be involved to help in that situation, or calling out people for doing blatantly sinful things, holding them accountable, not letting those types of things lead to gossip and slander. And we're gonna talk about that. I'd like us to address that before the end of the episode, because there are genuine concerns people can have. How do you deal with those in the right way without it turning into gossip and slander? But before we head down that path, let's just deal with these. What does the Bible have to say about things like gossip and slander?
It comes up in a lot of the vice lists, so we have a few that we could read. Romans 1:29 through 30. That's a really good one because it just spells it out. The word gossip is actually in that passage, I believe.
Yeah.
Some of the passages don't. Like the James one doesn't have the word gossip, I don't believe.
But it talks about the sins of the tongue.
It talks about gossip. Yeah. So
the one that I was thinking of in Proverbs chapter, well, go ahead and read the one that you've got there.
Yeah. So this is about the depravity of man. This is why I love this. Like when you talk about Romans 1, you're talking about God's wrath against unrighteousness. So he's setting up the gospel to show man's guilt. Okay. And in that, in the way that he goes about it. So feel the weight of that. Like this is not a light sin. This is included in the in the guilt of man before God. So Romans 1:28 says, and since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God. I mean, he's putting slander and gossip right next to haters of God. Insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless, though they know God's righteous decree that those who practice such things deserve to die.
In no uncertain terms, it's condemning it.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, can it be any stronger?
Yeah, exactly. And, even in our daily Bible readings that we've been doing here at Faith, recently we read through the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
And it just so clearly condemns bearing false witness against your neighbor.
Right. It's actually not just lying.
Yeah.
That was that the 8th commandment?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? That it condemns. It actually condemns presenting your neighbor in a wrong light.
Yeah.
Like that's the actual way that he's going about lying. I mean, deceit in all of its forms is heartily condemned in the scriptures.
It's just a gross violation of God's commandments against loving others, loving your neighbors,
right,
loving those around you by presenting them in a bad light or lying about them blatantly. Yes. All of those things are included in there. Proverbs 16, verse 28, a dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends.
That whisper, that's gossip.
Hey, did you hear about so-and-so? Did you hear what they did? Yeah.
Why do you think God hates it? I mean, you get the feeling here that God hates this, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
he does.
Why? Why does God hate it?
Well, I'll go back to, the 10 Commandments. I mean, we're commanded to love God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and we're commanded to love our neighbor as ourselves. And there's so much that flows from gossip or so much that feeds into gossip and slander. When we engage in that, there's an aspect of just self-idolatry that's going on. We are trying to make ourselves look better. We are idolizing ourselves. We are debasing our neighbor or brother and sister in Christ or friend or this other person in order to make them look bad, who are created in the image and likeness of God. So all of those things are just flowing from a multitude of sins in our heart when we engage in those activities.
And I that's all really good. I would say at the end of the day, God hates gossip because it's against everything he is and his character.
Yeah, he is. Another verse, did I put that down? I put 12:20, and that is not the, there we go. Yeah, there we go. 2 Corinthians 12:20.
Oh.
For Paul writes, "For I fear that perhaps when I come, I may find you not as I wish, and that you may find me not as I wish, that perhaps there may be quarreling, jealousy, anger, hostility, slander, gossip, conceit, and disorder."
Yeah, it makes it into a lot of the vice lists. And some other passages you didn't list here.
Yeah, so many more we could say.
Yeah, there's one about like widows who are truly widows, and there's a warning in there about not being gossips. There's lots of others. I love the one that you included here from James, though, and the one that I think inspired the image.
Yeah, the artwork
that you need to go look at.
Yes.
Shall I read that?
Yeah, go ahead and read that.
I'm going to read all the way from verse 1 of chapter 3. James 3:1 says, "Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with a greater strictness. For we all stumble in many ways, and if anyone does not stumble in what he says, he's a perfect man, able to bridle his whole body. If we put bits in the mouths of horses so that they obey us, they guide their whole bodies as well. Look at the ships also, though they are so large and driven by strong winds. They are guided by a very small rudder, wherever the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. And the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and set on fire by hell."
Man, I mean, that's in no uncertain terms there.
I hope every reader who hears this now feels the weight of how heavy gossip is.
Yeah. And he goes on to say a little bit further, no one can tame the tongue. Verse 9, with it we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse people who are made in the likeness of God.
There's gossip.
From the same mouth come blessing and cursing, my brothers. Such an indictment against the sin of gossip and slander against others. With it, there's a cursing going on. And the gravity of that sin is magnified, especially if we're Christians, when we think about, we want to stand up and we want to give God praise with our mouth, with our lips. We want to magnify his name. We want to sing to him. We want to declare what is true. And then we turn around with the same mouth and we slander and we gossip.
And that is disconnected from the new heart God has given us. Our old heart, at the end of the day, the reason we do this is because the heart, a wicked heart that wants to promote self and put everybody else down is right at the heart of why anyone gossips. What is in the heart comes out through the mouth. The mouth speaks as the heart is. And when we were redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, when the gospel had its way in our hearts, I hope it's still having its way. God gave us a new heart. He removed that stony heart and he put in a heart of flesh. And gossip is inconsistent with that heart. Like, gossip lines up really well with the old depraved heart that hates God. It doesn't line up at all. It's at odds with the new heart that loves God and cherishes Christ.
So I said at the beginning of the episode, the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true.
That dude never read James.
He never read James. What are some of the things that we see gossip and slander doing, especially among the people of God when they happen?
Okay.
What's some of the detritus that's left in the wake of gossip and slander?
I have seen it destroy churches.
Yeah.
I have seen it destroy, and I the ripple effect of that is huge. Let's take a church, say 150 members strong. Okay, I'm just making this up. This isn't a real church. I could name some churches, but I won't.
Yeah.
150 people strong, support 3 missionaries on the foreign mission field, have a vibrant ministry to unbelievers in their neck of the woods, like in their circles. Encourage small group community. They have an active diaconate that helps people in need. They've got all kinds of things going on, right?
Yeah.
Enter gossip. They preach the word, right? Yeah. Enter gossip. All of a sudden, no one is thinking about loving God and loving others, right?
Yeah.
Let gossip have its way for a while, and all of a sudden, there's a stirring of division. People are aligning themselves for or against a certain issue or a certain person. And just think of the effects of that.
Yeah.
Like for those missionaries that they support and for their gospel testimony.
Yeah.
As they begin to squabble and fight and hate each other instead of love each other. Their testimony among their circles. All of it is dashed.
Yeah.
Like their gospel witness is tainted all by this little unruly member in our mouths.
Yes. And it's not, and I think the metaphor of the little spark that can create a flame that burns down a whole forest or a whole city is apt. I've heard sometimes people say it's kind of like, the ripple effects of throwing a rock into a pond. I would say it's more like a tsunami.
Oh man.
You have this earthquake that happens that it's not ripples that fan out and die down. Normally what happens is it builds and builds and builds until it's just a massive wave that destroys everything in its path.
Yes.
And so a church like that, well, not only is it damaging their witness, but you're destroying relationships. You are leaving missionaries high and dry on the field who relied on you for support. You're dealing with just a destroyed gospel witness in your community.
Yeah.
And you think of just friendships that have been torn apart by gossip. You think of marriages that have been torn apart by gossip.
And some of that will be in the end labeled church hurt. And you might have years of ramifications for people. All because we love to be the bearer of juicy things.
Yes. Reputations destroyed.
Oh, man.
Maybe even jobs lost, all of those things.
These things ought not to be.
Yeah. So our words, we're going to be held accountable for every idle word that we speak. we're going to stand before God and have to give account for that. And we want to be careful with our words because, yes, they can hurt. They can cause great destruction. So that's the weight, that's the gravity of this issue that we as believers want to guard against and want to be careful with, because we don't want to be held accountable for doing that in the end.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love this next question. I'll start it off. How do we guard how do we guard against the sin of gossip and slander? What should I do? Well, we'll do that one, and then the next question's gold too. But how do we guard against, let's just say, in our own hearts?
Yeah.
And then we'll go to when we hear gossip. So
I think you have to intentionally set out and to plead with the Lord, guard my tongue.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible uses that kind of language. Guard my mouth, O Lord. And then we oftentimes see we want our mouths to be filled with praise and with truth. And so shun what is evil, love what is good, focus our lives on speaking what is true, fill your mouth with praise, obey the Lord's commands and how to deal with people when there's conflict. Go to Matthew chapter 18. Let your heart be filled with those things and avoid those evils by guarding against them, pleading with the Lord, and asking others to hold you accountable in that.
Man, that's so good. That's so good. Let your heart be taken with better realities.
Yes.
I can do a little experiment. I can write an article on something, a post or whatever on Substack, and just put it up there with any old title, like why God hates wrong speech.
Yes.
Okay, I title it that, and I'll get, 500 readers, over the life of that thing. If I title it, shining the spotlight on some poor speech I've heard.
Yeah.
I will get way more readers.
Get way more. Yeah.
Like right away. And
guess what so-and-so said.
Yeah. Title it that. And that clickbait helps us see our hearts, that's where my heart is drawn. So I think the remedy to that is don't be drawn to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like see what is better. See what is wholesome. Philippians chapter 4, think on these things.
Yeah.
Those are all things that they're not conducive to gossip.
And that is so pervasive now. You just mentioned clickbait. I didn't even think of that. That is like 99% of the time, that's gossip.
Yeah.
It's like, guess what? You'll never believe what so-and-so did. And then you're drawn into that.
Yeah. If you want people, readers, if you want people to come to your article, just put some.
You'll never believe what
so and so did,
what so and so did, or what they said, or all of those things like that. It just feeds our curiosity, our morbid curiosity.
It does. We love scandal. We love those things.
Yeah.
And one thing that helped me. Okay, so through the course of things, I've been in the thick of it lots of times with people, and it's easy to go home and vent to somebody about what so and so said to me or whatever. I resolved in my heart one year as I realized that I was kind of poisoning people who were around me, to other people, because I was seeing the effects of my tongue. I resolved I will not speak evil about anyone, and that has been so helpful for me, and so I still have to catch myself, because I want to go there, but I decided I won't tell other people's stories. And I won't speak evil about anyone. And that's been helpful.
Yeah, such a good bit of advice there. So how can we guard against that? What should we do if a brother or sister in Christ comes to us with gossip or slander, if we hear them doing that?
You should call it out.
Yeah.
This is how we do it. This is, you should tell that brother that they need to check their heart and go talk to that person if they have an issue with that person. And that's the way to go about things. Use it as an opportunity to help them see how hurtful our tongues can be.
Yeah.
Don't give sympathetic ear to what they're saying.
Good advice there.
And I don't think you should be silent either. I don't think it's actually very helpful or loving to them to just listen and don't say anything.
Right.
I know a guy who's really close to me who, if you say anything evil about anybody to him, he'll answer back by saying something very positive about that person, and suggest that I should think more deeply about it.
Yeah. Very good advice there. It's something that I love that we have here at Faith, that all of our members covenant to carry out is we have a communication covenant.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to read all of it here right now, but if you go to our website and you go to, learn and what we believe, you can see this in our documents that we have.
Really good.
Our extra doc. I'm scanning through it right now. And it deals here. Like, here's just a couple of quick, before I talk to anyone about an issue, I will speak to the Lord first about the issue. I won't pay attention to unsigned letters or notes. I will not manipulate or be manipulated. But if it's about you and confidential, I won't tell. If I have a problem with another person, I will go to that person privately. It's such a great thing to spell out, to say, this is what we're going to strive for. We're going to covenant to not be a gossiping, slandering people. We're going to covenant to be biblical together in all of our relationships.
So good.
And I encourage not just the Faith members, but if you're interested in this, you can go to Faith's website and find it on our section where it has our beliefs.
Yeah, if you're a church leader somewhere, I had a church leader tell me this last weekend down in Florida. He told me that his church is struggling with gossip. I hope he hears this. I told him we were going to do this at some point. Man, this would be helpful.
Yeah.
Use this and start talking to your people about it. Make your own covenant like this. And, everybody has agreed to this in our church. And so one of the ways that we can use this as a helpful tool is when gossip starts, we can say, hey, remember, guys, we covenanted together that we wouldn't talk like this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this last question here, so let me give some context, because I think it could be a question people could have. How do we distinguish between gossip and, say, sharing a genuine concern about someone or another person? How can we ensure that we don't cross the line into sins with our words? And let me give you, as elders here at Faith, over the years, we've had people come to us and say, this is what's going on. I give you permission to share that with the other elders to seek their wisdom and counsel and prayer in this. And so, once we've received that permission from that person, we can share that. So we are sharing something that is a burden or something that's going on with other Christians with their permission to do this.
And sometimes without their permission. Sometimes if it's a sin issue that needs to be addressed by the shepherds, sometimes with great caution and wisdom and prayer, we might need to share that anyway without their permission, depending on how that goes. But yes, we often want to make sure that they're okay with it. I think at the end of the day, it's the heart, right? Like, am I sharing this because I want these brothers or these people to think worse about this person, or am I sharing this because we want to help and we want to shepherd well?
Yeah, because the Bible does give believers a mechanism for going to the Matthew chapter 8, for going to there's times to go to the elders of the church and say, so-and-so has been coming to me. I've been dealing with them according to Matthew chapter 18. I'm deeply concerned that there is a serious sin issue or danger issue or something like that going on, or there's an unresolved problem that we need the elders to step in on. There's times to do that, but it is guarding the heart against the sinful disposition of trying to make yourself look better, trying to make this other person look bad, and guarding against lies, like twisting the truth to make yourself sound better. Give the facts. Be very clear if there's a time to do that.
Yeah, and you're when you do that, you're calling out sin. Like it's, I have seen people use gossip as a way to try to, like the word gossip, to try to suppress like sins being called out.
Yeah,
and that's not a you know what I mean by that? Like
exactly.
Where you say you can't really call this sin out because that would be gossip for you,
right?
To do that, and kind of a manipulative way to go about it. But I think, like what you said, we have to check our heart. We pray, maybe we seek wise counsel and be careful with that. And then we share it, and this is one of those things where we've talked to that person about this, maybe they haven't responded. When you bring along another brother, you got to kind of read him in a little bit, but you're on this ground where you have to be very careful. You have to consider yourself lest you also be tempted.
Yeah.
And so this is when I'm in those kind of places, I'm constantly checking my motives, because I don't trust my heart. I don't trust it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm doing this because I want to please Jesus, and love them, not because of some other darker motive.
Yeah. So good, Pastor Mike.
Yeah.
Well, if you have further questions about this, send them to us, and we have,
just tell it to other people and maybe it'll get back to us.
We do have a listener question today that comes in. This brother asks, what is a biblical view on prepping? Or is there a biblical way to prep? Can Christians be, quote unquote, preppers for, say, a doomsday scenario?
So prepping I would define as spending a lot of energy, time, money into preparing for a scenario that you don't know for sure is going to occur, but possibly could. So storing up lots of food, storing up weapons, those kinds of things. It's been very popular here and there. Sometimes in Christian circles, very, very conservative Christian circles, some groups have gotten into prepping. And I guess my answer to that, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts, is I think we have to balance scriptural truth as we think about this.
Yes.
On the one hand, there is wisdom and foresight the ant stores up for other times. So there is, we save for retirement. I don't know that there's something inherently sinful about storing up. When I lived in Florida, we would prep for hurricanes. We would, and sometimes those hurricanes didn't come. So we would have bathtubs full of water bottles.
But the possibility of hurricanes hitting Florida is very real.
Yeah.
In the same way that we have a generator. I'm not trying to interrupt you here, but we have a generator at home because the possibility of an ice storm happening in Sioux Falls that cuts our power is a real possibility. You balance that with things like an asteroid hitting Earth and wiping out the planet.
But then I don't want to make fun of people who are thinking about wartime scenarios. Because, civilizations go through war and things like that, and those are real and they create famine typically. So you have to balance those things, the wisdom call, the call of Scripture for wisdom, with the call of Scripture to trust God. And we have to do that all the time. You don't have to be a prepper to need to do this. You have to do this all the time. You want to be wise. You don't want to be foolish. You want to steward what you have well, but at the same time, you want to trust God. And my fear with prepping is that you get to this place where you feel like the only way that you're going to make it through something is if you do these things.
Yeah.
And the reality is you have no idea. And the scriptures are replete with warnings about thinking like that.
I think of Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus says, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. I agree with everything you said there. I think there can be a wisdom of, I don't think there's any problem with having some extra cans of gas around or a generator. Or maybe you do want to have some dried food, but it can become such an obsession that you are worried about tomorrow as opposed to seeking first the kingdom of God today.
Yeah, and I have seen that with people that I love who are very close to me, and it's been a struggle to watch them go down that road. And my response back was, we can make prepping an idol, and you have to be so careful because, yes, have wisdom, yes, think things through. Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. Trust God.
When I make gumbo and I chop up the onions, the bell pepper, and the celery, and I prep that, does that count as prepping?
For the gumbo. It's good prepping. Tasty.
That's probably the prepping I do.
Good word.
Most of all. Well, anyway, if you've got a question, you can go to sifpodcast.com, submit your questions there, listen to past episodes, and buy merch for the Sound in Faith podcast. So I've heard.
People tell me this.
People tell me this. I'm Pastor Thomas.
And I'm Pastor Mike.
And Lord willing, we'll see you Sunday.